Hello and welcome to the Thoughtfully Made Fiber Vlogcast. My name is Amy Scher and I am a knitting pattern designer, a spinner, and a sewist living here in St. Louis, Missouri with my family. We recently relocated here and we're about to experience our very first St. Louis winter. And now that it's getting properly cold and I'm wearing kind of all my DK weight or fingering weight sweaters out and about in 40-degree weather, which I know is quite warm for many of you, I'm starting to really feel that bite of the cold. So in this episode, I'll probably be rambling on and on about things that will keep me warm, thicker knits, base layers, things like that. If you'd like to find me anywhere else, my name is Amy Scher Makes at most places. On Ravelry, Instagram, Coffee, like everywhere. And my website is amyschermakes.com. I'll put all of that below, as well as information about everything I'm talking about today, so that you can find all the things that I talk about down there. So let's get right into it. I am wearing the Truss cardigan by Wehrle. It is a Brooklyn tweed pattern, and I knit it using the recommended yarn, which is Brooklyn tweed Shelter. And I'm sure all of you have heard of Shelter before. I won't go on about it, but I really enjoy it as a yarn. It's a breed-specific American grown and American made woolen spun yarn. Got thirsty for coffee for a second there. So Shelter. What is there to say about Shelter? I think Shelter is probably the yarn that got me most interested in spinning, because I could not wrap my mind around how yarns could be so different just because one is woolen spun versus worsted spun. So for those who don't know, in hand spinning, a woolen spun is like a pure woolen spun yarn is referring to yarn that has been spun with a long draw, so like a big distance over, the twist happens over a larger distance, and the twist is let through the drafting finger so that it's like a little bit chaotic. It goes right into the fiber supply, and also the prep of the fiber is different. It is carded rather than combed, and in worsted spun, yarn is carded then combed to make sure all the fibers align. So woolen spun yarn has what the youths refer to as like real chaotic energy, which I love, and it kind of blooms into itself once you wash it. I just love this yarn so much. I think I've talked about it before because I talked last time about my Galloway cardigan, which is also seeing quite a lot of wear. But anyway, it's a great yarn for those of us who really like blooming, fills in the space, like really woolly yarns, which seems to be the mood that I'm in lately. All I want to do is knit and wear woolen spun yarn or unspun yarn, which I'll talk about. Anyway, this pattern is the second iteration of this yarn that I have done. I'll throw a picture up here, but this used to be a cedarwood cardigan by Alicia Plummer, who is a good friend and a wonderful designer. That cardigan was the very first thing I ever knit that's a garment, and I remember being so scared of sweater knitting at the time, and it took me like almost 2 months to knit the entire sweater, and of course it didn't fit, because first of all, my row gauge was tighter than the given row gauge, and then it made the fabric like really, really stiff. And second of all, I chose the wrong size. So it had to be ripped, which is a bummer because it was one of my favorite things to wear, and even though it didn't fit, I had to like sausage myself into it. And I knew that if I could just make it with the right amount of body wearing ease, this yarn would be something, like this fabric would be something I would wear forever. So after thinking about it a long time, I said a quiet apology to Alicia and I ripped that sweater ruthlessly. And I reknit it into the way it is now, the Truss cardigan. Truss is quite cropped and boxy, which is just the way I like it, and I wear it a ton. It's taken me through a pregnancy where all the way to the end, because of how boxy it is, I was still able to like button the top 2 buttons and leave the rest open. And in California, this was plenty warm. So this was like my outerwear, my jacket, wore it everywhere during pregnancy kind of garment. And now that I've kind of arrived at my new size, yeah, it still fits. The shoulder shaping is really nice. I just find it really comfortable to wear. The way the V hits, everything is just perfect about it. So it's one of those patterns that I think is like really tried and true. Brooklyn Tweed recently updated this pattern to be fully size inclusive, so I think that's great. It has this sweet little ribbon detail in the underarm. There's a quite similar pattern that is a pullover in the most recent pom-pom magazine that has that kind of like triangular pyramid shape along the sides, which I think is really beautiful. I'm really tempted to knit one. But yeah, that's what I'm wearing. I just think that shape is so cool and fun. Yeah, let's move on. Ooh, allergies. My allergies have been really bad from all the leaves and debris of fall. Okay, let's move on to finished objects. So I have one finished object, and it is, the ends are not woven in, clearly. And this is a little improvised t-shirt that I made Clara from all my different hand spuns. So I'm gonna walk up and show some detail now. So this is not the kind of knitting I normally like to do. Normally I'm quite hyper focused on details and making everything really perfect. But on this one, I knew that I wanted to use up some hand spun scraps that I had from making socks and mittens and so on. And I knew I couldn't be too precise because all the different yarns are slightly different, which you can see it kind of created a little bit of shaping, like the waist is a little bit smaller just because the yarn was thinner. And even though I knit it on the same needles, the gauge changed. So overall, this is quite a messy knit. I improvised the numbers and they were quite sketchy. But it fits Clara with quite a bit of room. I knit it, I think, in size 4. Like, I improvised it to fit a 4-year-old so that she could wear it from the time she's 2 in the spring through to when she's 4. And there she is now. Okay, so I think we're back. Where was I? Clara's having trouble with her molars. And in the spring she'll have this kind of chaotically colored and knit little tee. For children's sweaters, I kind of don't mind if they're a little bit chaotic. I think that's like part of the charm of improvising a homemade knit for kids. For my own sweaters, for grown-up things, and especially like obviously for my designs, I'm a lot more finicky about the finish, like really precise fit. Like I spend way too much time thinking about yoke depth, those kinds of things. But for kid sweaters, it's just a fun knit. I had a good time. Ran out of yarn to make it a full-length sweater, so now it's a t-shirt. And that's it. That's what I have. Um, let's talk about my works in progress. So I think last time I was able to talk a little bit about the spinning I've been doing, and I am spinning lately from this Shetland bat from Southern Cross Fibers, and I finished about half of it, which I needed to do to free up the bobbins to do the other half. But let me come up and show you. I think the colors are so gorgeous. I'm about halfway into the spin for the other half of it, and I'm really looking forward to finishing it up. I'm thinking about offering this yarn as like a giveaway because I'm about to reach 5,000 followers on Instagram, and I really wanted to give back to all my followers who have been like the most incredible supporters anyone can ask for. Yeah, it's amazing to think about what I've accomplished this past year. I'll probably have at least one more episode this year, but I think next time I'd like to take some time to reflect on how far I've come as a designer this year. Because I started just in May, I have a lot of growth, or a lot of room for growth, and that's exciting too in its own way. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know you all better and to show you all the things that I've been designing. But this might be a nice little gift for somebody. I don't know. We'll see. That's my spinning project that I'm working on. And my second whip is this sock here. So this sock is a vanilla DK weight sock that I have knit up, or I am in the process of knitting up, from the hand spun that I showed last time or the time before. And the fiber was from Inglenook Fibers, and it is their bio nylon sock fiber, which I'm very excited about still. I remember talking about how I finally got the twist just right for socks and how it wasn't under twisted for once. Well, this yarn is over twisted and it's like a little bit ropey and wiry, which I'm a little bit disappointed in. So I over twisted the yarn, and it also doesn't have as much stretch as I would like, so it's too small. So I'm gonna have to rip the toe, knit it again, and then knit the other sock. And that's a lesson learned, but I think even though it's overspun, when it's like on my skin, it feels okay, it feels fine. So I think this will be like a nice hard wearing pair of boot socks that'll get me through the winter. Like the Shetland and the Gotland fibers in it makes it so like sticky and warm, and like it smells horrible when it's no wash. Like it smells like a farm, and not in a cute way. Not in like a nice Newton way, but in like a not pleasant way. But I think it will bring me lots of warmth, and it is also my first pair of non-superwash socks. So I'm quite excited to see how it'll wear differently. Just a little disappointed that I overspun it. But that's a lesson learned. When I first started knitting it, I had like 2 inches of it, and I thought about ripping it and starting over, but I was feeling really lazy because this is last week. I had just finished a magazine design, and I had re-knit it so many times. I like frogged almost the whole sweater during different parts of it. Like when I knit the body, the gauge turned out to be not what I wanted, so I re-knit it. And then when I got to the shoulders, it's knit bottom up. And then when I did the sleeves, I found a mistake in the chest. So then I ripped all the way back down a shoulder, down to the neckline, dropped down to fix that mistake, re-knit the chest, the shoulder, rebound off the shoulders together, re-picked up the sleeve, did the sleeve cap, knit all the way down. So it felt like I was knitting forever. And then when I bound it off, I realized it was like too short for what I wanted. So I like ripped the sleeves and knit them longer. And after that, I just really wanted an easy knit, and I didn't want to rip it and start over. So what I could have done, and probably should have done, is rip it, then run it back through my spinning wheel the wrong way and kind of untwist the ply a little bit to make it a little softer. So I did try it, like I took a length of the yarn and then I untwisted it a little bit just to see what it would feel like, and it feels way better. So I really regret not doing that in the first place, but now the sock is in it and I feel like it's too late. I don't know, we'll see. I can't decide what to do with it. Do you think I should rip the whole sock and unply it slightly and then re-knit the whole sock, or should I just knit it to the correct length, like rip the toe, knit it to the right length, and then knit the other sock? I don't know. So that's one of my whips that I'm kind of stuck on, trying to figure out what I want to do with it. So that's one. The other whip that I have is this beautiful little Newton project, which I can't show because I haven't cast on yet. But I'm going to show the swatch. This little project, which looks like absolutely nothing so far, is the start of a new design. Newton is on my mind lately because it's an unspun yarn. So it kind of, when you wash it, it kind of fills the stitch that it's in. Like if you give it space, it's gonna bloom and fill it up, which is one of the things I love about wool, is that it's like ability to expand and grow into the space that you give it. And when you over twist yarn, like what I did with this guy, you're not giving it the space to like bloom and get fluffy. It's just kind of ropey and not nice. But Newton is kind of the other end of that, where it's not spun at all. And it's such a delight to knit. I went through quite a few iterations of this design before I settled on this one. But in the end, I decided that for a yarn like this, with like the incredible depth of color that it gets, it wants to just speak. So the simpler the design, the better. So I'm moving forward with quite a simple basic design that I hope will be really wearable, but have some like pretty little details to keep the interest when you're knitting it, when you're wearing it. So I really, I didn't plan to add another garment to my schedule, but this decision to design a Newton garment this winter season is purely driven by the fact that I really want to wear it. And I don't have anything like it in my closet, so I desperately want to knit it right now. So that's kind of what's going on there. So that's my other whip right now that's kind of taking up all my brain space. Let's see, what else? Let me just go ahead and show the details in this yarn. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. Very excited about it. Very, very excited about that yarn. That's exciting stuff. Let's see. So let's move on to some acquisitions. I have quite a few because it's getting cold, first of all, and also because now that I'm a designer, I don't go through notions fast, but I just realized I need so many more notions than I ever did before. So hold on, let me go get one. So the first thing I wanted to show is these beautiful stitch markers. They are from Wehrle at Knit Book Studio. Wehrle is an incredibly talented and skillful designer who has taught me and inspired me so much with like her advocacy for affordable yarns and affordable yarn options, and for size inclusive testing and ideas. And she's such an inspiration to me, and I could not believe that she would send me a present, but she did, and I just feel so moved about it. And these presents gave me like all the feelings. Let me show you. So yeah, so she sent me these beautiful stitch markers. The fruit one made me so happy because it has little stitch markers made of little charms for papaya, lychee, durian, dragon fruit, and I don't even know what this last one is actually. I don't think it's a fruit I know, but these like all the things that my people love to eat. They're all the fruits from like East Asia that are quite popular. So I love the fruit stitch marker. So thank you, Wehrle, for that. And then the beautiful little purple gem ones, I think are just like wonderful everyday markers. And the gems are just so sparkly and pretty. Oh, see if I can get my face on frame. I'll show it in a close-up later. It's fine. We're all fine. And I have been putting these markers in this little Trader Joe's olive wood bowl that I got for stitch markers because like my partner Roy is always making fun of me, but I like famously lose all my stitch markers all the time. So these have come just in time to rescue me from myself, as have the Cocoa Knit stitch markers that I received from my old local yarn shop, Woolhouse. So I've been thinking a lot lately about how much local yarn shops shape us. When I was first knitting up this yarn, the shelter, into cedarwood cardigan, I was feeling so worried about all the different things going, like all the different techniques going on in it. And I went to my local yarn shop, which is not where I bought the yarn for this cardigan. I think I bought this like online. No, I bought it from them. I bought this from my local yarn shop, but at the time I didn't know, like, I felt really bad for asking for support, like pattern support from them, but the owner at Woolhouse, her name is Uli, sat me down and like walked me through all the different techniques and just made me feel so welcome and loved. It's just the coziest little spot. It's in Pasadena, California, if you're ever in LA. Just the best yarn shop. They have, Uli and Kathy have curated just the most wonderful yarns there, and they sent me these lovely stitch markers because I called and was like, Uli, can I buy these stitch markers? And she just sent them to me. I would not be a designer today without the support and the learning from my local yarn shop because there was a time where I wanted to knit a t-shirt for Kaylee that was matching a grown-up t-shirt that I had, and I didn't know how to grade it to a toddler size. I knew like what the dimensions I wanted were, but I didn't know how to work like the basic algebra required to grade a garment into stitch counts. And Uli sat down and helped me grade like 2 or 3 of the dimensions and told me how to use those same skills to grade the rest of that t-shirt, and now I'm a knitting pattern designer. So I really owe it all to Uli, and I'm so grateful that they continue to think of me and support me. And I had such a nice time catching up with Uli on the phone the other day when I was ordering these. So that's all the stitch markers I have. And it's good because, like I said, I keep losing them. So now I had like no plain stitch markers, even though I think when we moved here in May, we had like so many stitch markers, like at least 20 or 30, and I've lost them all already. So hopefully I could keep this box going for longer. I used to say in our old house that when we moved, I would find all the missing needles and stitch markers and things, and that just didn't happen. Like when we moved, there were no missing needles. There were no stitch markers. Like I don't know where they all went. So I don't know if that happens to you, but like stitch markers, DPNs, flexi flips, those are the things I lose quite frequently. So I'm trying to keep a better hold on all my notions and needles. Hopefully I can keep all of these beautiful things that I just showed Anyway, let's go on. So the next acquisition I wanted to show is this incredible fiber by Wound Up Fiber Arts, who is one of my favorite dyers. This fiber is 85% polymers and 15% silk, I think. And it is in the colorway Sugar Plum. And I had tried so many times to get my hands on this the last holiday season, so like last winter, November, December-ish. And it sold out every time. It was so hard to get this colorway. I just love the golden and purplish tones. I think they're so beautiful and they'll spin up so well. But I'm glad to finally have gotten my hands on it. And it's probably for the best because except for socks, I no longer spin or knit very often from superwash yarns. Just because my preference is for, like sticky wool yarns, which are also a hair better for the environment, just saying. I'm not gonna get into that today, but yeah. So it's just as well because last year most of the bases that she was dyeing it in were superwash, but this year she did it in Polworth and silk, which is a great little fiber combo. I think I'm gonna really enjoy spinning this up during the holidays. I still have not bought my new spinning wheel yet. I know last time I said I would. The Quamsky Symphony is still my dream wheel, but it's like approaching $1,000. And it's just, I don't know why it's so hard to spend money on my art, on my fiber arts. Like when I needed a new computer to teach piano remotely, I was like, done, that's a work expense. Plus I can't make money without like the ability to teach remotely. So when I needed a new laptop to teach over here by piano, I bought it. But I don't know why, like when it's only spinning or only stuff that I do for myself, I have such a hard time pulling the trigger. Yeah, I don't know. It is a huge expense, so I'm still thinking about it. I want very much to buy this wheel, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping to spin up this Polworth on my old wheel, but she is really chattery and really rickety. And sometimes I lose consistency because of the chattering, like it's distracting to me, so it's really hard for me to complete a spin because of that. But we'll see where that takes me. Oh, I can't get this bag to reseal. That's so upsetting. Maybe I need to use some washi tape or something to get it sealed. Okay, let's move on. So I have a few more acquisitions to show you. And I feel kind of weird having so many acquisitions, but they are truly necessary, so I will show them. I bought this deck of fabric from the fabric store, which I will link below, as with everything else. This one is a twill remnant that was on sale that I thought could be a good shirt for my kids for the winter, like a cute little blouse. I think the twill being a little bit thicker than the normal cottons I sew for them, it will be a little more insulating now that it's winter. Kaylee in particular, she's 5, will need some long sleeve stuff for the winter, so I'm planning to sew that up. And then for myself, because I basically don't own base layers that fit me, I'm a little bit worried about the winter. So I bought this beautiful merino, 100% merino knit from the fabric store to make myself some woolen leggings. The reason I wanted to buy it from the fabric store is because they have the most beautiful colors. This merino is so soft, and their merino is certified mulesing free. So when I buy ready to wear leggings, it's really hard to verify that the animals were treated humanely. So it makes me feel better that these are certified and that I can also make them the ease I like. So typical American legging styles, like from Smart Wool and other similar companies, are quite negative ease. So when I wear them, I feel like, number one, very self-conscious and like about my like visible panty lines. And number two, they're not comfortable to me. The leggings I bought like in Asia from brands like Uniqlo and Superdry have much more butt curve ease. They're worn pretty loosely around the butt, like I don't know how else to say it, the butt. And they're a little bit baggy in that area because I feel like the styling where I come from in Taiwan is a little more, they're meant to be worn under tunics and dresses and things. So it's pretty uncommon to just see someone walking around in leggings with their butt in leggings and nothing else. And that is why they can afford to like have a little more butt ease, which is my preference. So I have a Japanese sewing book, which I will be tracing, which is like an adventure in itself. Like if you've ever sewn from a Japanese sewing book, you know that the pattern tracing can be quite intense. But I hope to sew some leggings to layer under other things with plenty of butt ease, and that is why I bought these. So that's my plans for this acquisition. And the final acquisition that I have to talk about today is this incredible yarn. So as you might know, I have previously designed socks using the sock yarn from Big Little Yarn Co. And that was from Melanie's, I think, spring collection. And the Wisteria Bloom socks have since become my best sewing socks. I think largely because honestly her colors are so inspiring. It inspired me to like create one of my favorite sock patterns. And it's like, I mean, I love all my patterns, but I really love that one particularly. So when it came time for me to create a new colorwork design, I reached out to Melanie and she kindly sent me this set of sock yarns for colorwork socks. These are 100 grams each of her trusty sock blend, which is superwash merino and 25% nylon in a 4-ply. Now this one is also from the spring collection, which is Spring Ring, and I'm planning to wind it up and knit it very soon. And this one is called Moon Glow, which is like this beautiful, barely there yellow gold. I think it's such a beautiful tonal, and I'm really excited to use these two together for color work. I have exciting plans, and I hope they'll turn out because I've been planning to make this pattern for a long time. I sent it to Melanie. I sent the swatches, or rather the sketches to Melanie, I think, like 4 or 5 months ago, and I've had this yarn for a while. I just haven't gotten to it yet, and I'm about to wind it up and stir on it, so I thought I might as well show these beautiful skeins here while they're still in skein form. And probably the next time you see them, there'll be like a whip, a work in progress. So Spring Ring and Moon Glow. Really excited about those. There's not much to say except that they're a wonderful standard sock base, and Spring Ring has, in particular, has like a million different hues in it just because the colors she uses and the speckles she does are so complex and play with each other in the most interesting of ways. The light is tending a little yellow here, so I'm gonna have to try to show, like insert some footage that's different. Yeah, the light's kind of off, so I'm gonna try to show it like some other way. The light is very yellow today. I don't know what's going on in this room. Yeah, so that's my last acquisition. So as you can see from this episode, I've got lots going on. I haven't been knitting much for my own designs because I think it's important for designers to take a break for self-care, and I really wanted to give myself some time to knit things for my kids and for myself that are not attached to work, and do a little spinning. So I think I talked about that last time. So I'm just taking it slow through the end of the year. My in-laws are in town right now, so we're gonna make dumplings later. My father-in-law makes the most delicious Chinese savory pastries. We're talking noodles, we're talking dumplings, we're talking those like meat pies, Beijing style meat pies. We're talking, like yesterday we made scallion pancakes and they were so good. I wish I took some like high quality video footage of it, but honestly the kids ate it so fast. Like my kids had one big pancake like the size of my torso each before I even had a chance to sit down, like before they were done frying the whole batch. My kids had already eaten like so much of it. So we're just gonna take it easy the rest of this week and have some family time. We're visiting from Los Angeles, so it's kind of like a precious and rare occurrence. So that's it from me this week. I hope you're doing well. I hope that you're finding some time to knit for yourself and to enjoy this nice chilly weather if you're in the northern hemisphere. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, I hope that you're going to enjoy going into summer. And there's my baby. Have a good day.